Hi, welcome to another quick video tutorial from EpoxyJewelry.com. This one is not strictly for epoxy or jewelry for that matter, but I found the technique rather interesting, so I thought I would share it with you. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use fingernail polish, of all things, to create swirled effects, and you can use this, like here I did this on a piece of epoxy, and this one was on a finding. I would imagine you could do it on pieces of polymer clay, like say you got a piece that didn't turn out right and it's kind of ugly. A lot of times I end up, when I pour my epoxy, I end up with extra epoxy at the end, so I always fill another cavity in my mold with epoxy, and so you end up with little random pieces like this that you could use this technique on to make them actually useful. I mean, nobody wants really just a solid white heart, but with this technique we can dip it and make it a swirled heart. Now, I've played with this for a few days, trying different techniques that I found on the internet, and what I found that works best is you use room temperature water. Now, I'm using distilled water because I had a gallon and I was told it worked better than tap water. That's going to depend on where you're at. If you've got really hard water, you may want to go buy a gallon of distilled water. It's, you know, $1.50 or $2 for a whole gallon of it, and all you're going to use is a small amount at a time. You're going to want to have a small container like this that's deep enough to fit whatever it is that you're doing. So if I were doing this piece, it would be okay because I could put it in this way. But if I wanted to dip it this way, it wouldn't work because I can't. It needs to go completely under the water. Okay, you're going to need several colors of nail polish. Now, I'm using this Sally Hansen's Extreme Wear that I ordered online, and it seems to work okay. I think it dries a little faster than some of the others, so it may not be quite as good for this technique. In fact, a cheaper nail polish might work just as well or better. You're going to need some Q-tips and some good old paper towels. You're going to have to plan ahead as far as your... I always use these two. You're going to have to plan ahead as far as your item, because when you dip it, first of all, you've got to have a way of holding it. So what I did with this one is I just pushed this tool into the back of it to hold it. And like if you're doing a piece of jewelry here like this, I put a wire on it and squeeze it tight so that it's solid. You don't want it just hanging loose, because you need to control the way that it goes into the water, so you need to hold it like this. And this happens to be a bad piece of jewelry, that's why I'm using it. It's got holes in it from the manufacturing, and you need to be able to dip it like that. Then you need to have a plan on what you're going to do with the piece afterwards. In other words, you need to shake the water off of it, and then you need to hold it somewhere where it's not touching anything while the nail polish dries. Myself, I've got a little lamp here with some clips on it, and I just clip it to this piece so it'll hold it up in the air. If you were doing something like this, you could take this and bend it around something so that it would hold it up just until it dries, because if you just lay it down, you're going to get paint on it or nail polish on everything, plus it'll put marks on the piece. So those are things you got to plan ahead on. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to start out, and I've had you know, you gotta play with this. It's not absolute perfect science. Different nail polishes may work differently than others and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do here, if you drop it too high, it does just what that did. It dropped to the bottom. You want to drop this in here like that, and your first coat should be a light coat. And you see what it's doing, how it's spreading out? That's exactly what you want. And your first coat, you want to have quite a bit. You want to pretty much cover the inside of your cup. Okay. So I'm going to keep going like that. I'll just add that in there. Okay, that should be enough, although it didn't mix together, which is kind of odd. Oh well, I'm going to do it anyways. Now, then you take your next color, whatever it may be. I put the lid on that. I need the lid off. I don't know why I did that. Take your next color. This particular one, I'm going to try this red. Now, I haven't used this red yet, so I'm hoping it actually works. Yeah, it worked. And put a couple of drops in there. Then we'll go back to the white. And you'll notice that the colors aren't mixing. And that's exactly what you want. I'll put 2 drops of that in there. Then I'll go with this blue. I guess I should shake it up a little bit first. Now, I'm a guy, so I don't use fingernail polish, so I'm not an expert on how this stuff works, but I did figure this out. And what you're doing is you're building up a little bullseye there, and we're just going to keep going with it. I'm going to put some more white in the middle. Okay, and if it doesn't spread out good, you can just shake it a little bit, and it'll help it spread out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go with some more red. I say red is kind of a weird red, more pinkish than red. And if it's not dark enough for you, you just simply add more. So like this red one's kind of a thin color, so I add 2 drops. And I'm going to go back to the white. You can do as few or as many of these little circles as you want. When you're doing this, okay, I'm going to go back to the blue. And I think I'll make that it. So I'm going to put 2 blue ones in there like that. I'll give this just a little wiggle so that they move around. Now, what you want to do is you want to have your some kind of a pen tool like this, and you're going to drag through here. But what you want to stay away from is don't try to drag this outside ring. If you do, it's gonna just ball up into a mess, because the first layer you put on there is almost hard now. So it will stick to this, and you'll just pull it, and it'll be like pulling a cloth off, and it'll just mess it up. So you start with this ring, and just go like that, and move these around. And then it's just your creativeness, however much you want to do this. Some people drag it just like that, so it's in a flower shape. Some people do swirls in it like that. You know, there's no wrong way. You just do that. And of course, you want to wipe your tool on there. Now, when you're happy with what it looks like, you then take your piece that you're going to do, and one of the things you want to do is you want to give this. Okay, sorry about that. My memory card on my camera got full, and now the battery's about to run out, so I'll make this really quick. What you want to do is you take your item now, and you slowly push it in until it's completely covered underwater. Shake it a little bit, and then here's where your Q-tips come in handy. You're going to go around like this, and you're going to get the rest of the ink off of there so that it doesn't go back on your device. And there you have it, a nice swirl. You only do one swirl per one item per setting of ink, but you want to make sure and tap off any water, or else you'll end up with water spots on it. And then hang this up to dry somewhere, and that's it. Thanks for watching.